Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of GoGodotJam. I'm Adrian, your host, and please let me know if you can hear me. I'm checking my microphone volume and should be fine, but yeah, let me know in the comment section so everything is fine. In today's video, we have a special guest, someone that empowers Godot developers to take their games to the next level. And of course, I'm talking about Emilio. And his journey is a story to tell because he's a freelance software developer by day and a game developer by night. And I think this is a story for many. I mean, I recognize myself into being similar as that as well. He started his YouTube channel 3 years ago, and from that point on, he published tutorials for Godot and much more. His latest big success is the plugin called Dialogic, a completely free and open source dialogue system for Godot. And if you have seen any YouTube videos with top 10, top 11, top insert a number here plugins for Godot, probably his tool is mentioned there. And let's hear from Emilio himself. I'm gonna go directly and introduce him. So, welcome. Now we are
Hello,
live.
everyone.
Hey, nice to see you. Thank you for accepting this interview
And thank you
invitation.
for having me.
Yeah, please, everyone, tell me if you can hear Emilio as well in the chat. That's otherwise it would be an one-sided interview, and that would be kind of crazy.
Would be
Um,
interesting, yeah.
do you have anything else that you would like to add that I haven't mentioned about you?
No, I think that's pretty much it. Like the software developer by day and game developer by night is 100% like what I feel defines most of us, especially in the open software environment where you cannot really trust to get your income from these kind of projects. So it's more like a hobby, like after working coding most of the day, you start coding for fun, and that's when the open source gets in.
Yeah. I mean, if you have a day job and you try to do some other projects on the side, um, some people might not have the energy left after a full day of work, especially if you do some
It
overtime
happens.
or have like a
Yeah, it
major
happens to me
release.
a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, no. If you notice in the releases of the Dialogic plugin, like the first ones are like all one back to back. Like I released like one every, I don't know, one version every 2 weeks, 1 week. But now lately it's been like a slower process because I have more work. But I plan that after probably like after December, where all the crazy Christmas stuff is over, can go back to the regular schedule
yeah.
and continue with the full-time dev thingy.
Yeah, I've also seen that the plugin has a lot of contributors. So
Yes.
they might help a lot.
Yeah, no, like one of the reasons why like some people told me, like even contact me, like have you considered like making like something paid, like a plugin that you paid for, so you get that. But it's not like it's never my goal, and also it would have never been the plugin that it is today. Like what Dialogic is for making conversations and making your visual novels or stuff like that. It's mostly, I would say now, thanks to all the people that also work using it for giving the feedback and for telling me what stuff they need and what they contributed. A lot of stuff that are really basic, like the drag and drop to the like gain an event, putting it there in a timeline to use it, stuff like that. It's done by contributors that suddenly appear and say, "I have this in my own version of the logic." Like they send it to the main repository, and it's been growing like that a lot. And I originally created this to make it easy for my brother to make video games as well. He's an artist, so he doesn't want to deal with programming. So I noticed that most of the people that are writing like visual novels or want to have like heavy conversation games don't really want to go into coding. And being able to help that people and also that people helping me in like, oh, I don't understand this, how to make this easier. It's always helping making the plugin grow. And yeah, and it's really exciting to work on it.
And making the engine grow. And
Yeah.
I think um, if we like study your history of the channel and stuff, you also have a game maker transition guide, right? And
Yes, it was a bit like it's something I made for me, like something like 8 years ago, like a very long time ago. I did again with my brother and some other like people this Indiegogo campaign that we got funded to make a video game, and it was like the first big kind of game that I wanted to make, and that was all done in Game Maker. And I have done some games in Game Maker before that, and I had some experience with it, but it was like you find the limits really quickly when you want to do something serious like production ready, like professional. You start finding a lot of issues with it. So the development was terrible throughout the entire process, like terrible enough that I was so deep into it that I didn't want to start over in a new engine, but I had to fight with Game Maker every day. And the fact that it wasn't open source, it was also terrible because I wasn't able to modify the stuff that wasn't working. Like, like you find that they do a limitation on the engine, like, okay, you cannot access user files in this folder. And if you need to do that, just forget about it. Like, there's nothing you can do. So then I discovered Godot and the fact that it was open source. Like worst case scenario, I could hire someone to do some engine updates if I needed, and have my own version of Godot. And one way to learn how to use it was trying to convert games that I did with GameMaker to Godot. So the few things that I had like that have helped me understand the differences between the programs, I did those tutorials in the channel at the beginning, and also I created like a repository, which is like the game maker language to Godot translation, or like what's the name? Like yeah, the translation from one to
yeah,
the other.
yeah,
And
transition.
yeah, so you can find how to write game maker code and what would be like to do that in game maker. At least for people to see that it's not that scary, and to also like bring more people to the dark side of open source, like
Yeah, makes sense. And probably, I mean, game maker is you can have a more non-code approach, right? I don't know. Disclaimer: I don't know
Y-
game maker, so unfortunately.
yeah, game maker has like a language which is like JavaScript, which is the one that you use when you really want to get into it. But I also learned making games in that because it has like a drag and drop system. You have like little boxes that you can add, like, okay, the character moves to the left when you press this key. So it really helps you to program without programming, like without writing code. And that's also one of the inspirations I got for the plugin I made. Like I'm always thinking about me when I wasn't programming, or my brother who is not programming. Like, how can I make it easier for that kind of people to code? And yeah, Game Maker is really good for starting, for learning how to make games. I think it's a very very nice tool, and it should be open source. Like I don't know like how, if that will ever happen, because you know that they transferred the company to, I think, Opera, like the browser company bought Yo-Yo Games, which are the ones behind Game Maker.
I didn't know that.
And yeah, it's moving from hand to hand. Like it's really hard for them to compete with Godot, with Unity, with Unreal, and with Construct and the other engines that are like more reasonably priced. And yeah, I feel like GameMaker would be a really great tool if it was open source, but it's not. So we
So
have to move
Godot
on.
for the win.
Yeah,
Yeah, but yeah, you also have on your channel like visual scripting tutorials, and also with the plugin, you're aiming for people to enable people that don't have programming skills and that don't need programming skills. That's the best part of it. Um,
yeah,
to yeah, to make Godot, to open Godot up for people that might otherwise avoid the engine completely and go for, I don't know, like, I think they're for visual novels. I think there are some specific game engines written in Python, or I don't know. Um,
Yes, there's one big, which is RenPy, which is what most people use. But there's also other programs like Tyranno Builder, which are very similar to Dialogic. If you search for them, or like on Google, you will see like the similarities. And yeah, I feel like if more people tried these visual scripting kind of ways, like I feel like it's a great step for them to lose that initial scary programming. I'm not a super genius mathematician that, that the idea that people have about programming. After they get a little bit more comfortable with something like that, if you want to continue making these kind of games or programs, you will eventually learn how to code like with a text editor. But I feel like it's a great start for a lot of people. Unfortunately, I was a bit disappointed with Godot visual scripting.
yeah.
Like, I feel it's not there yet. I kind of like stopped making videos about it in my channel because I wasn't like ready to start also handling the community asking more questions or demanding me like, okay, how can I do that? Tell me how to do this, how to do that, because I'm not comfortable in the tool itself. I feel like it needs a lot of time yet to be like a core part of the engine. But hopefully with time this will change and I will be wrong because it's improving in every version, but not as fast as I thought it would be. But yeah,
Yeah, makes sense.
I don't know.
Yeah, and I don't remember exactly with whom I discussed, but I've discussed about the visual scripting, and the problem is, like, if we compare it to Unreal's blueprints, which I think are much more better, is because they have a higher level. Like, the functions in there are higher level, and this is just basic code blocks in a visual way.
Yeah,
So, and Unreal One is much more than that. So it's a higher level that actually simplifies how you code your game. So yeah,
yeah. I mean, the issue with Godot is that like you have to basically one line of code. It would be like four visual nodes that you have on screen. One for getting the variable, the other one for like doing what are you gonna do? Are you gonna plus like add, subtract, multiply? Then what are you gonna multiply? It's so many steps to do one thing. And I agree. And I wanted to write a proposal to how to improve it. I remember Juan was asking on Twitter about it, and the issue when you start writing a proposal on how to improve the visual coding is that you start realizing how much work there is to do to get closer to another level of abstraction that it will help people to use visual scripting because you will have to also dictate what is happening in the backend. Like, and once you commit to that, it brings a lot of problems whenever you want to extend it. Like if you move like your character on a 2D space with some physics, you have to handle all that physics from somewhere and you have to make a lot of assumptions about what the user will want. And as soon as in this visual scripting that you have, okay, this moves the character from left to right with one block, and you can pick the input here with another block, and that's it. But then the player wants, like the user wants to, I don't know, do like some Mario Galaxy platforms that they attract you from different sources, and it's like, okay, like I have to rewrite how we did all the visual scripting backend for the physics because it's not accounting for that case, and then you start with all these ramifications that are never gonna end, so it's a big compromise to have a better layer of abstraction for most people, but also offering the flexibility of you can make any kind of game, which is what kind of Godot promises at the moment.
yeah,
Um, yeah, it's really hard. It's a really hard problem to fix, but I think that with the time we're gonna get to somewhere uh, there, like to a better place.
I'm yeah. It takes time, but with tools like Dialogic, I mean, Godot will still be able to open up to people that don't know or don't want to learn programming. So that's a step forward in that area. But yeah, like a fully fledged visual scripting that's actually working as intended. I mean, yeah, it will be probably a game changer in how many other people that are even not game developers and not programmers and will pick up Godot and try it as well. But
Yeah.
that takes time.
Yeah,
That's,
I thought like if Dialogic was like stable enough and I liked how the system worked, probably like after the new 2.0 version comes out or stuff like that, I thought about adapting the timeline system that we have, which is a lot of events happening in one order, like from top to bottom, very similar to programming, and trying to offer that as an alternative to visual scripting for Godot. But it's like, again, a lot of time to develop that, to make it work, to make sure that it's well integrated with the editor. And unfortunately, I don't have that much time at the moment. So, like, I cannot start new projects. Like, I need to stop.
yeah,
But
and
yeah,
that's
the
not
idea is
possible.
there.
Um,
Yeah.
so I also was curious, how did you enter the game development world and what made you stay?
Think that I always made games, especially with my brother. We were living in Argentina with not that much money. We had like a very old Macintosh computer that had no games. And what we did was we draw in like a painting program, like some pictures, and you know that you can select them and you move them with the arrows, like when you select an image. So that we started building games like that. So one was narrating the game to the other players on playing like with the arrow keys, and from there we started like trying to learn. Okay, how do people make games? And we found one of the few games that we had that it was like a kind of like a Sokoban, one of those that you push boxes to some spots and stuff. And it was made by someone like a 12-year-old, something like that. And we had that age at the moment. And it was like, wow, if this kid made this game, like we can also make games. So I started, trying to get everywhere. Like, how can I learn? Like, with no internet, like checking programs that promised that you could make games with it. And that's how I found Game Maker. I was hitting version 4, which was made by Mark Overmans, which was a professor, I think it's in the Netherlands, who was teaching how to make games, and that was the tool that he uses. Um, and that's how, like I started. I kind of like pushed my way through it to make games out of like curiosity and also like not having games to play. But wanting to play. I went to my friend's house to play. They had like, oh, a friend has the PlayStation. Let's go all to their house and play with that. But then at home I had nothing, so it was like I need to make some. Then of course things changed, and I was able to get like a proper computer to play games and to start making more serious stuff. But it was all by accident, kind of like like a discovery thing that happened.
Yeah, very very
And
interesting story.
staying in video games, I don't know if I did stay, because when I started working as a software developer, like I mostly do websites. Then you see the salary like after 10 years of trying to make indie games and living with 100 euros a month. Like you do 1 month of web development and you have the same amount of money that you earned in those 10 years, and it's like, fuck, what am I doing? So I wish I could be like a full-time game developer in those terms, but unfortunately, it's not monetary viable. So yeah.
Yeah, as one of the questions that I prepared for you was if you'd like to become a full time game developer, so that we can transition directly into that part. Because you do have a Patreon, which
Yeah.
does have some loyal subscribers there.
Hmm.
But right now it's like almost, or not almost, like around 100 US dollars, right?
Hmm. Yeah. The the Patreon idea was like some people already asked me or even donated via, I think it was like Coffee or PayPal, like, oh, thank you for Dialogic, Also, I had like the YouTube channel going on, and I said, okay, if some people are interested and if this works, it's also a way for me to motivate me. I feel like the pressure, like, okay, I have Patreons, like I cannot abandon this project. I cannot like stop doing this. It's more like a motivation thing, even if the money like is not that important. Of course, it's really appreciated, and if eventually it gets to like a sustainable amount, I can start taking less web development work to do more like game development. But I don't know how that's gonna be, like if it's gonna grow more or not. And what I've done now that I have like a lot of people helping with the Dialogic, I try to compensate some of the contributors, like giving part of that Patreon money to them as a thank you. Like, of course, I cannot hire them. They are working like because they want to. They never ask for it. I'm just like, I feel kind of like obligated that if people are giving me money, mostly because they want to see the development of Dialogic continue, and if these people are contributing and making the tool a better thing, I want to share that with them because I think it's fair, like especially one of the members, which was at the beginning very quiet, but now very very like a cornerstone of the Discord server that we use for this, Joan Spooner, which has been like taking over almost like the entirety of the project, and without people like him, it would be, like, I don't know, like super, super, super outdated, the plugin by now. Like there's a lot of other plugins that appeared, and I believe that thanks to people like him, like I'm able to continue with that. But yeah, I don't know if I ever transition to game development. I don't know if programmer would be my first pick. I would love to do game design. I would love to do, like maybe UI or things like that. But I'm not that much into coding, how a character moves or systems or stuff like that. I feel like, I don't know. I don't really like programming per se. I think programming is a great tool to make stuff, but I don't like programming by itself. So I would enjoy other kinds of roles in the game dev industry. But it's really not likely to happen. If
Never
if
say
you see like
never.
the base, yeah, but I mean, I hope it changes. But you see studios like Ubisoft, Blizzard, Activision, this CD Projekt Red, and the crunching that happens in game development. Salaries are never like properly like industry wise. Like uh, the environments at work are a bit toxic usually, and I don't know. I could see myself working in a smaller company, but never like triple A. But yeah, I don't know. I prefer also like this kind of joy of doing it for the sake of doing it instead of having it be like a salary with a deadline. That's something that I need to, like deliver. And yeah.
That you're forced
I-
or not constrained, not
yeah.
forced. Nobody forces you. But if you don't do it, then you might lose the job. So yeah, you're
Yeah,
constrained.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
I also been playing a lot less lately. Like that's why
that's sad.
also like I got interested in visual novels or games that are narrative because I feel like usually they are like, I don't know, like one of my favorite games, one of my latest favorite games. So it's Tacoma. I don't know if you know it. I think it's 5 hours in total. It's mostly like kind of like a puzzle walking simulator kind of thing, but it has a great story. Like, and it could not be a movie. Like, I believe that there's like this weird spot between movies and games. The fact that you are interacting with everything and you find how the story develops and stuff like that. And I also want to write games like that. That's why Dialogic would also help me making some of the ideas I have for video games. Um, but yeah, Tacoma is more like a 3D first person game. It has like dialogues, but like spoken dialogues, and it's of course like more advanced than what I'm aiming to do. but it's in that line.
Yeah, but yeah, it would be great to have the opportunity to make such a game and have the time. And unfortunately, we live in a
Yeah,
society where time is money. I mean, like if you don't have money, you cannot buy yourself time. So
yeah,
I'm curious. A topic probably that people watching your channel noticed: you disabled YouTube ads. um,
yes,
n-
yeah. When I, yeah,
yeah.
when I was like traveling like recently, I had like only like the phone most of the time and a laptop, which I don't like watching like stuff on the laptop if I can, because I prefer to keep it only like for working. And I watched some videos on YouTube, and it was like, damn, this is full of ads. And suddenly I saw one of my videos, and I clicked on it, like, this video is mine. And I saw an ad, and it was like, I don't know if I want people to like to have that experience. And uh, I did some series of videos that are like super simple errors and how to fix them. Like if you Google something, you will find the video because of SEO. That Google really wants to show you videos instead of proper text-based answers. And if someone is like in a hurry and they Google how to fix this thing, and they find my link, and the first thing that they do is just watching an ad, I don't know, like it feels a bit bad. And also the money was terrible. Like it's not that I was making like millions, with the YouTube ads. So I don't know. Maybe in a future, like in a future scenario where I have like a million subscribers and I'm making hits after hits, maybe I can see a way of, okay, don't pay me anything on Patreon, let YouTube pay for it. But at the moment, it's just annoying people for no reason. And,
Mm.
it was like €2 a month, or I don't know, like maybe 10 in a good month. It doesn't feel like that's almost like a Patreon. I prefer to have an extra Patreon than to have like YouTube adding ads to stuff that I cannot control before my videos.
Yeah, but they will still put ads on the videos regardless with their new system.
Yeah, yeah, I'm aware, but I feel like since that's out of my control, there's nothing I can do. Like, sorry, but yeah, I don't want to be like actively saying YouTube, yes, you can do this in my channel. I would gladly upload my content elsewhere if there was eyes elsewhere. But since most of the people are gonna go to YouTube, so that's where it has to be.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah,
I've heard a lot of people saying, "Oh, why don't you upload on this blockchain-based video streaming platform?" Or I don't know. And it's it's like, yeah, even if they have like tight integration and it's just one button click, or in some cases if you configure it, it automatically uploads there. If no one is watching, it's useless. I mean, even one button click more, but just doesn't do anything for you. So
yeah,
yes,
yeah. That's very common in these kind of circles. For instance, Godot usually is like full with people, of course, like the developers themselves, right? The core developers, which are like Linux users. They try to be outside of the mainstream grid of the internet. And this kind of alternative like PeerTube or stuff like that, right? Like they try to recommend. It's like they're great initiatives, but unfortunately, like if you want to reach someone that is in a small town in India, which are like trying to make video games, they come to YouTube to find that content, and that's where they can find you or Unity tutorials, and we don't want that.
yes,
We don't
yes.
want
We
Unity
don't
tutorials.
want Unity tutorials, and they keep popping every single day. How to start a project in
Yeah.
Unity? It's crazy. It's crazy. um,
Yeah.
we I mean, I hope that GoGodotJam can fix some of these issues so that more Godot content is gonna appear and will get recommended to people. But also probably Godot 4 is gonna do us a favor, and will bring more people that are probably are aware of Godot and using Unity because they want some specific 3D stuff that's not yet
Yeah.
available. So, what are your thoughts about God of War actually?
I think that God of War it was like a necessary part. Like, if you make tools, like if you're interested in making plugins, you will notice how God of 3 is very limited. Godot 4 will make it easier for making plugins. That's something I'm looking forward to for Dialogic itself. But also, I feel like Godot 4 is also like low key an excuse to make a big like marketing push. Like it will be easier to start like refresh the website, start talking with all the people that already said no, Godot is not ready or stuff like that. There are not a lot of features that I would need for 3D, especially since I have no clue how to properly do 3D stuff. Um, but I know that a lot of people are looking forward to that. What I'm excited about are things like the tileset editor, which I made a video about that, like complaining. And right now, like the new tileset editor in Godot 4 is amazing. I'm really happy that like Grout was able to develop it into that point. Like it's even beyond what I could think of. And I don't know. For me, it's not like a big deal because most of the features that I use are not gonna change that much, except for the plugin stuff. That's something nice. But it's pretty exciting, right? Like whenever a new version of that program that you use a lot it gets out, like you really want to use it, and that also will help a lot of people to come back to get out and try it out again and see if it works for them. Uh, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a
It's
big thing.
yeah, it's a big thing, but also I don't want to people to be super overhyped by
Uh,
it and say, "Oh no, Godot 4 is not making my game in 2 clicks. This is trash," Which is why I made a video as well for like why I'm not waiting for Godot 4 because it's basically, like you can do a lot of stuff already with Godot 3 and you should start using this. And Godot 4 is gonna be like an improvement to what we have, but it's not gonna be like a super amazing fix all issues kind of thing. And you don't want to have the hype train going like with
we want it.
it's
We want it.
yeah, I mean, but then you want to deliver, and that's hard, as we could see with No Man's Sky or like the latest games that the hype killed them, like Cyberpunk or
But
games like that. And
No Man's Sky actually is like up. They managed to fix themselves.
yes, but it's the only one that could do it.
Yeah.
The rest, like I played Cyberpunk when it got released. It was a game I was looking forward to. It was like, okay, yeah, let's try it. And I think that the game right now is mostly the same. Like they did some patches and stuff like that, and I think it's a very good game. As well as I think that God of 4 will be very good. But I see the hype of people being a little bit too much to the point that they might get disappointed when they see that God of 4 is still a program that you need to spend a lot of hours working on to get a game out of it. Because it doesn't matter what tool you use, you're still gonna need a lot of hours to make it. And yeah, I'm worried about the super hype train that creates around these kind of places.
Yeah, I think it's is going to be big, but if we are not doing the hype train, then the release will be not so impactful in people. And yeah,
Yeah, no.
unavoidable. Some will get disappointed. I'm sure of that. But yeah, God of War.
Yeah, no. I
We're
mean,
gonna see it, and as I
I'm
yeah, please, sorry.
yeah, I'm looking forward to update Dialogic so it works in God of War. At the moment, it doesn't even run because the plugin system is very different. But like, I want to have it at least when the beta releases, like God of War beta is out. I want to have Dialogic working in God of War, so like people can transition easily. But it's gonna take a long time to get there. Like it's a lot of work.
Yeah, yeah, and we need not only plugins updated for God of War. I think one of the major issues is finding plugins, actually,
Yeah,
because now the most reliable source of finding plugins is finding YouTube videos, top 10 Godot plugins, blah blah. But there's
yeah,
no reliable way, and the asset library doesn't have any discovery features. I mean, you just have to go page by page, and you don't know what's even in that particular thing, so you don't even click it.
Yeah, no, the asset library is it's a bit lacking, and I know that the core developers already know there's a lot of proposals on how to improve it, and also regarding the Godot team, I feel like they are really interested into making like a paid for thingy, that they can include. I'm not sure if it's gonna happen for Godot 4, but I see that like the asset library will have to change or improve as well, but it's not a priority. Of course, it's not a priority at the moment. Like there's
Yeah.
so many things that are more important than just the assets. But yeah, there's a very nice website for shaders. Um,
Yeah, Godot
I
shaders,
don't
right?
remember. Yeah, Godot shaders.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
and
great.
I think something like that for plugins should eventually happen. It will probably happen. Like not a main Godot thing, but like another person like creating a project with more discoverability, with a better like storefront to showcase plugins. And if that doesn't happen, like it's because the Godot 4 already includes it in the program. But I feel like someone is gonna end up making like a proper asset store for Godot. It's just
Mm,
time, like
yeah,
to get there.
yeah, and we so much need this. It's one of the
Yeah,
pillars of the engine that needs to be there. Um,
yeah.
so if we go back to your channel, I'm curious. What are your next plans for for like releases, and what do you plan on doing in the future?
Well, I will still be making dialogic videos, like at least the updates ones, those I'm committed to. And I wanted to go back to also doing tutorials. Unfortunately, as with everything, the time, it's really hard to find time to make a proper video. And also like the locations, I've been moving a lot the past few months, and it's hard to have like a proper microphone, a proper computer to edit, um, and also like the headspace to say, okay, let's plan a tutorial, let's make a project, what would people would like. So I don't know exactly what kind of content I will be uploading next. I know that the dialogic updates will still be happening, but for the rest, I'm a bit open to do anything. Like I would like also to maybe do some more general stuff, like not exactly 100% Godot specific, but I don't know, like I have nothing planned other than that. The few tutorials I want to make are something that I already even promised a lot of people in comments. Like, can you make something about this? And they are good ideas, but it's just that it takes a lot of time. Uh, we'll probably resume like in January next year, like after December, like it's over. I will probably go back to uploading more and doing things like that. But I'm not. It's not like my main focus at the moment. The YouTube channel. Like I feel like I spend more time on GitHub and the Discord server for Dialogic and the game that I'm trying to build with Dialogic. But yeah.
Yeah. And if you were to pick from building games or building tools, what would you pick out of those?
Building tools is something I'm really interested in, actually. Like, as always, like I did a lot of tools before without noticing that it was something that it could help people, because I made them mostly for my brother to help me with. For instance, in the game that we did in Game Maker, we had some procedural generation of levels, and I created like a bit of like a tileset editor for making those pieces to then generate like a bigger level and stuff like that. Also for the items of the game, like I made like a UI to edit like the descriptions, the drop rate, like all those kind of things on a easy way to like, okay, this is the icon of the item, this is the description of the item and stuff like that. So I enjoy making those kind of tools. Also in my day job, like tools for the marketing teams where I worked to handle like social media, to like deploy the website changes or stuff like that, making it easier for people that are not technical to write a blog post and publish it, like kind of like an interface for that. So I'm always building those kind of tools, and I like making those kind of front end connection to backend stuff that people usually don't want to touch or are scared to. So if I had to choose something, I would choose that, and it's something I enjoy a lot. But yeah, because making games, I don't know if alone I will be able to make something really meaningful as for games. Like I don't know. I tried many times, and I know it's maybe not my thing to make like a proper like, oh, I'm
Y-
gonna make Stardew Valley, by myself. Like, that's not me.
It's hard. It's hard. Game development is hard, but making tools is
Yeah,
also really hard. And making tools and releasing them like you did, it empowers so many more people to make games with them, and even people that are not familiar with coding, and it's just great. So either you make a game for yourself and yeah, you take time to build it, or you do a tool and then release it and have it.
it's
Yeah.
it's really nice, really nice. Like every time somebody like, and really, if you did it and you made a game with Dialogic, just tag me. I love it. Every time someone makes a game with Dialogic, like I love seeing it. Like I love seeing the dialogue even like in the games. Like I believe one recently like won a game jam, and it was like mostly like conversations with Dialogic and stuff like that. And I love seeing how I kind of work on that game, even if I didn't. But the fact that they use the plugin, that the game is done and people are playing it and interacting with it, and that's part of the code that I worked on, that's really exciting for me. And I don't have to directly interact with them to enjoy the process of that being out, released, and people using it. It's exciting to see your stuff being used somewhere else. um, I guess that's something that you get when you start sharing this kind of uh, tools, similar to Kenny, the asset Jesus, the one who makes a lot of
Thank you, Acid
sprites.
Jesus.
And
Yeah.
yeah, I think that for him it would be. I feel like he would feel similarly every time he opens like a random game jam and he sees that people are using his sprites. It's a kind of feeling that you get, which is almost like making games for game developers. It's like you're making like tools for game developers. So like your target audience is there. It's not like everybody's gonna be playing your games, but the fact that some game developers are using your tools, I know it's nice in a way.
Yeah. Now we need to make it to monetize it in a way, and we're set.
Yeah, yeah. Like I'm super grateful that I do websites for a living, so I don't have to think about monetizing Dialogic. But of course, the idea is always there. I can always make a standalone program with the Dialogic capabilities to create games and charge it, or I can try to make more like um, a Dialogic Plus, plus with more like events, with
Hmm.
more options here and there. But I don't want to do that. Like the same with the YouTube ads. Like I prefer people to use it, and also like if I make money out of it, it would be because I finally finish the game that I'm working on and I publish it and it goes well. That's enough for me, because I already feel like making it a paid program, it would be a mistake or a betrayal to the community that already contributed a lot to it. And yeah, it's an option, but not a very um, interesting one at the moment.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Unless I lose my job and I have to find money somewhere, then I will go 100% full ads everywhere. You're gonna have Dialogic sponsored by NordVPN, something like that.
No, by Raid Shadow Legend, please.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. One of those, yeah.
Only accept Raid Shadow Legends here. Yeah, I think this
Yeah,
is.
some shitty cryptocurrency.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Not giving any hints for like the latest funding Godot received. but
Something like that. Yeah.
but it's true. I mean, I think it's wonderful to give people open source software, and I think we should keep doing it and do it much more. But people just they take them for free, and the ones who can contribute and are benefiting from them, they should contribute, but they don't. So that's kind of the problem, and they just expect other companies to support the tools, like in Blender's case. But it's I mean it's a cat and mouse, or like the chicken and egg problem. Like you won't see those companies until a certain level, and Godot hasn't reached
Yeah.
that level yet. So we as people need to support each other if we want a free tool set of great stuff. Otherwise, yeah,
Yeah.
get Creative Cloud, get Unity Pro, get Maya, get whatever. You'll pay thousands of dollars per year just per seat. Enjoy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I know. It's a hard like monetization. Like monetization of this kind of projects is it's hard, and there's also like this wrong idea from people that are like, for instance, when they see Godot's Patreon, like most of the people who are in the industry, they know that it's really low for what it is. Like it's super low. Like that's the budget for just one team, one small team in a company.
yeah.
And the issue is that in-game development in general, especially, like people don't even see that kind of money in their entire like indie developer career. So a lot
Mhm.
of people think, why are these Godot developers getting that much money and not making or not delivering enough? And
Mhm.
it's hard. It's hard to find like a balance also with the community. And I don't think that it will be possible to 100% be funded by a big community. Like big companies need to also start like paying for this kind of um, tools. The same way as they sponsor other projects, I feel like more companies will eventually sponsor Godot, even if right now they are the shady ones, which is understandable because if you want to make a slot machine game with Game Maker, it violates the terms of service. So you can do it with Godot. If you want to make some shady cryptocurrency game, you cannot do it with the main ones. So those are the clients at the moment of the engine, and that's completely fine as long as we don't try to please only them, and we continue to grow until eventually, it will be. I feel it's gonna be like a Blender kind of thing, like an industry standard, even for making big games. Like
Yeah.
yeah, like the recent Sonic Colors, but hopefully in a better done way, like a bit more. Uh,
Yeah.
quality assured.
Yeah, I think we need that push, and hopefully Godot can have enough money so that it can trickle down to other tools and other people that are contributing, just to have the engine, to have like a free, like real free alternative, because people say Unity and Unreal are free engines, and when I hear that, I'm face palming because they're not free. I mean, yes, exactly as you said, like for 90% of game developers in their lifetime of indie game development, they won't see more than, I don't know, 10,000 US dollars. So
Yeah,
they won't reach those thresholds. But I think like 100,000 US dollars, the minimum threshold for Unity, is something like achievable in a 5-man game development company. I mean, for West Europe, those like you can pay like 4 developers with that money per year. So that's the
yeah,
standard, with taxes included, and benefits, and everything. So it's not a lot of
yeah,
money. So yeah, that's kind of the reality that you're having.
yeah. That's why at the moment I know, like, I don't have any high expectations for Dialogic or for any of my projects, to be something super big. And I come to peace with that, and I really enjoy it that way. It's like, okay, maybe in the future everything goes well, and I will be able to live out of this. but it's never the goal, and it's never my plan A. My plan A is keep doing the rest of the stuff, like keep working, web development or other kind of software development. And, if something goes very well, it will be super welcome, but I'm not expecting it to happen because otherwise I will be disappointed. Like the Indiegogo I did, uh, and the project, like having all that people waiting for you to release a game. Then the game came out. It's not exactly what I wanted the game to be, but it was like 4 years of development. Like I got to experience a lot of stuff that I it's it's not something I want to pursue
Again,
as a
yeah,
career. Yeah.
yeah.
So that taught me a lot.
Yeah, no, it's good, and just jumping from game to game and hoping that it will be at least a medium hit so that you can have like money for your next game. It's it's like a losing cycle, not a winning one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, it's not ideal. Okay, we have some chat questions. Leonardo asks, will Dialogic support dialogue bubbles in the future?
It will 100% in version 2. Like version 1 point whatever will not because of how I build the basic box. I mean, I think it can be programmed on top of everything, but it's not my priority. And it opens, as always, a lot of unexpected issues to happen because when you allow them to do bubbles, like you also need to account for, are those bubbles going to be in a 3D environment, in a 2D environment? Are the players like going to be on top down? Is it going to be like a platformer? Like there's a lot of things to consider, and it's harder than it sounds. The size of the bubbles, like are they going to expand like vertically, horizontally? Like it's really hard. But I think there's a plugin made by Dex, which is called Textalog, and it started like as a fork of Dialogic, and I think in that one you can do text bubbles, but I haven't tried it lately. Um, but yeah, it's coming eventually, like in version 2.0, probably. Yeah.
Nice, nice. Thanks for the answer. And did you expect Dialogic to have so much success as it has? Like I think 1,000 stars on GitHub and
Yeah,
features.
no, no, no. It took me a bit by surprise. I mean, I feel, of course, like it was easier because of the YouTube channel. Like I already had the YouTube channel going, and many people, like one of my most popular videos is how to make a dialogue box. So it's normal that a lot of those people might end up using the plugin or finding it. But I also believe that since I try to make it look like a professional thing instead of like an amateur thing, I try to have a visual identity. I try to have it look very integrated with the Godot standards of how the design is made and how the work of it like is integrated with the rest. I feel like people like that it feels kind of like official. But I wasn't expecting that many people in a plugin, to notice, which is nice because that also helped me capture a lot of those developers that are helping me at the moment. But no, no, it was kind of unexpected.
That's nice. Yeah, I mean, I'm having this success. It makes you want to continue building on top of it to make it even
Yeah,
better and better. Otherwise, probably you said, ah, nobody cares about this, and let's move on with life.
it's easier to abandon. Easier to abandon. Like if
Yeah.
nobody cares, it's like you suddenly stop updating it and that's it. But
Mm.
here it's like, I feel like I have the commitment. More people are like they have their eyes on it, and it's like, of course, pushing me to make my game as well.
Yeah, that's super nice. So people, please join Emilio's Patreon. So he has commitments to you.
Yeah, and also if you feel like trying to contribute to Dialogic, and like if you try to see how the plugin works and try to close some of the tickets that are already opened. We have like a million tickets as well, and it works out. Of course, you will be compensated for your time.
Yeah, that's really good to know for people, for example, GDScript dude said, same here, I like making tools. I don't know, might be interesting to check out this opportunity. I think probably in open source is great, like to trickle down money around the community and make sure that everyone that contributes gets it, and people that are using the tools do contribute in the first place. Another question from John. Will Dialogic support changing message speed or delaying the text in the middle of a message?
It already does in the current master version. Like if you download the latest one in GitHub, you will get it. It's a bit untested. Like you might find some issues yet because it's something that another member of the community contributed, and I wasn't able to test very thoroughly. But you already can add some tags in the middle of a sentence to change the speed. And if you're using the version 1.3, which is the one you can get from the asset library, it's per dialogue, per text. So you can change it only from sentence to sentence, not in the middle of a sentence. But yeah, we're working on that one.
Okay.
Which actually the name, sorry, I forgot because it's the name of the person who wrote this one is what's the name on GitHub? He also has a YouTube channel, and I feel bad now for not remembering. This is KVA Graham with this update.
Okay. Yeah, good to know. So yeah, you should check out their channel. KVA Graham. Let me see if I can find, because only I can share links in the KVA Graham. The one that has 59 subscribers, or
I have no clue. Let me check.
I don't.
But he's making very interesting use of Dialogic. He's building like videos.
I think it's a
with
different
Dialogic.
channel. KVA Graham. Yeah, it's
I
not.
can leave a comment on the video when it's in there. But it's 59. Yeah.
That
He's
one?
like
59
one
subs?
with the duck.
Yeah, the one with the duck. Yeah. Oh, okay. I'm gonna share it.
He makes. If you see, some of the videos are built with Dialogic, and yeah, it's like he's using it to make videos basically, like to have like the text, and he contributed a lot of how the voice lines appear when the dialogue shows up and stuff like that. Really interesting use. That's something that took me as well by surprise. People use it in very unexpected ways, like the plugin. Latest one I saw was they built like a game for like multiplication or subtraction or adding, like kind of like a kids game with it, using the options that you have. And yeah, I don't know, people use it in very weird ways. I love that.
Yeah, that's super nice to hear the possibilities, and people are asking for more possibilities. So best songs list asks, how do you use Dialogic with procedural content generation?
That's one of the big ones that if you saw the latest video, like that's something I want to work on at the moment, which is having a better Dialogic API that you can also create like characters or like Dialogic variables from GDScript code, which will make it easier for you to generate dialogues on the fly or procedural conversation, stuff like that. I added a few options already, and it's a little bit more exposed, but it's something that it will most likely come in 1.4 or 1.5. With examples, if possible. One of the things I want to also make is have like minimal examples for those kind of features, because now we have the documentation, which really helps, which is integrated in Dialogic itself. But a lot of people learn seeing how a project is built instead of reading the documentation, and maybe offering those will also help. So the procedural one is something very high on the to-do list.
Okay, that's great to hear. Yeah, this was also mentioned in the last video update. So best song lists, check that video, because yeah, you'll find out a lot of updates that might interest you. Also, Another question, but also it's actually overlapping mine as well. So Novhack asks, are there any plugins you would like to make parallel with Dialogic? So yeah, basically, if you would like to start other projects that are not Dialogic for Godot.
Yeah. Mm, as I told you, like the one about general programming, but in a similar way as you do it in Dialogic would be interesting. So instead of you using the visual scripting graph nodes in a screen, using events on a list, uh, to link that with GDScript, it would be really nice. But I don't know if I will ever do that.
I think,
And the other ones, yeah,
yeah, no, you know Scratch?
yeah, something like that.
Aha, something like Scratch. So yeah, search for Scratch
Yeah,
if you don't know. Yeah, because
but for GDScript, yeah,
yeah, like Scratch but for GDScript. Um,
yeah, and also other stuff that will help make visual novels. Um, that's also that something that will probably come eventually. Right now, one of the members, Joan Spooner, he made like a template for making visual novels, which include like the usual menu with the settings, with I think you can find if you search on Google for Dialogic template, you will find the repository. And maybe in the future something like a character creator, with some templates so you can create characters like a placeholder characters or things that would complement that kind of um, development. And since in Dialogic you can create themes and stuff like that, I also wanted to make a small website to share user themes. And now in the new version, there are new custom events. So you can code with GTScript some stuff that will happen whenever an event happens. And it will be nice also so people can share those, because a lot of people want to move the camera while the characters are talking or stuff like that. So having custom events, like kind of like a asset library for Dialogic in that way, that would be nice, but not
nice.
other
Yeah.
plugins.
Yeah, but yeah, it's I mean improving stuff and offering more ways for people to do it is just amazing. Um, so non unknown appeared, and of course, um, huge fan. He's a huge fan, and he's willing to port the 4.0, but not sure if I need to wait for another update or you're already working on making it. So I don't know.
Obrigado. But yeah, I at the moment I'm working with Godot 3. Whenever that happens, I will let you know. I think on Twitter probably, which is where I usually see you. Um, but no, at the moment, like I feel like if we start porting it right now, we're gonna have to do a lot of double work
Yeah,
because
yeah.
of how we are restructuring the backend of the plugin. But once Godot 4 Alpha is out, we can make a better estimate on when the beta will be out. For when the beta is out, I want to release the logic for Godot 4.
I heard
So
they
yeah,
actually would like to release. I don't know, probably release candidate or release in
yeah,
Q1 2022. So that's roughly in. I mean, it can be like 1st of January, though. I think probably it would be more like in March. But yeah, they aim for Q1, so that's great to hear. Um,
yeah. I'm looking forward to it. Like I want to test it as well, with some projects that I have, and to start tinkering with it. But it's really hard for them. I don't know how they do it with so many issues, so many like uh, pull requests. Like there's so much things going on. I don't know how they can work with so
yeah.
many contributors. It's crazy.
Yeah, one thing that I super appreciate about the Godot team's decisions. I mean, there are a lot of decisions that people question, but one decision that I've seen in Unity and I hate it is the fact that Unity has new systems and has old systems in parallel.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this just gets like exponentially harder when you have the asset store, that some assets support the old system, like the rendering pipeline, the input system, the new dot systems, and basically everything else. And then you have to mix and match and fix yourself, and it's just crazy. And some people are stuck forever with 2018 version of Unity,
Yeah.
and
That also happened with Python, like going from 2 to Python 3.
but they
That
discontinued Python recently. I think they.
yeah, it got discontinued, but for a moment, like you had some libraries that you needed Python 2, some others that you needed Python 3, and if you wanted, like to use specific one, that's what I believe is gonna happen with Godot. Like a lot of people are gonna say, I want to make some terrain, like terrain editor. There's this very famous plugin for Godot 3. They're gonna recommend that. Maybe it's not gonna be ported yet to Godot 4. People are gonna be saying, okay, but in Godot 4 I don't find it in the asset lab. Oh no, it's on Godot 3. Yeah, but I'm using Godot 4. That's something that will happen, and that's one of the things that we will have to overcome at the beginning. We'll have to port everything. But yeah, I don't think that it will happen like in Unity that you have multiple systems going at the same
Mm,
time.
yeah, but we definitely need the clean cut. Like it will be a clean cut, but and it will hurt once. It will hurt bad for people that
Yeah,
want to upgrade from 3 to 4. But after that point, it don't just stay like, oh, now we have to deal with those systems and work with both because people are using both.
yeah.
It just creates a mess in the whole project, and I kind of understand their decision, and I think it's better than keeping a lot of old stuff.
Yeah,
I would even just
yeah.
delete those parts entirely, like just clean up the code base and make it as smooth as possible and streamlined as possible. And yeah, one of the
Yeah,
advantages is that it's fast, and I would like to keep it fast.
yeah. Something that will help a lot, like it would help a lot, is removing stuff from Godot. Like there's a lot of stuff already in it, I believe, for the little people that is working on it. And going back to our conversation, visual scripting is one of those things that I think it should get removed until it gets improved enough to be something to be proud of to show. Because that what happened in Godot 3 at the moment is that you have all these kind of systems like the tile editor, the visual scripting, and many more, like the asset library, that are like halfway done. So it gives this amateurish feeling. And if we don't have enough people in the core developers to work on these Godot features, same is going to happen in Godot 4.
Mm.
So every time we add something new, it's gonna make it hard to maintain. It's not only adding it and forgetting about it, but you also need to maintain it and stuff like that. So I hope that the Goro team has more funding and they can continue making the team grow.
Yeah, and yeah, when people see that on Patreon, they get like $15,000 a month. No, that's you can pay
Too little.
three
Yeah.
developers in West Europe with that money.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so that's not a lot, and they are having a team much bigger than that. So
Yeah.
but if the team grows, and we'll see, I'm looking at Blender, and each update they release so many new features, and I cannot even keep track of the features they release. It's just crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
even 1/10 of those features, if they get like how many are will get released in Godot, I mean that's great. Um,
It happens in Dialogic as well. Every time I add like a new feature, and I it's like I'm starting to lose track of how the code works sometimes. It's like there are so many things, and whenever you want to update something, you also need to think about all the other systems, um, so they are like integrated together and everything. That it makes it really hard to keep track of, even in your own project, like even in Dialogic. So I can imagine in an organization like this. So yeah.
yeah, yeah, and if people that are watching right now, and also the ones that will be watch the replay and want to make Godot plugins, what would be your advice for them if they want to start their own plugin adventure?
Just go ahead and doing it. Like I had no idea when I created Dialogic how to do it. I opened the documentation on how to create a plugin, and then I went on Discord to annoy a lot of people in the Godot Discord channel. Like, how can I do this? Okay, but this is not working, and etc. You will notice a lot of stuff is broken with plugins, and it's understandable because there's not so many people doing plugins. But in the plugin channel of the Discord official channel, there's a lot of nice people that are always helping um, with the quirks of the editor. But making a plugin is simple if you don't want to do something super crazy. Um, the most, I believe, weird part is when you want to integrate something that is inside the editor, like Dialogic, for instance, that a lot of those things are not even documented well. Like you have to start trying and doing trial and error. Like, okay, I want to add the node here, and then the editor crashes, and you have to reboot it. So it's just um, trial and error, nothing more. Iteration, very fast all the time. Like trying to make some changes here and there, and yeah, if your plugin is more of like an extension. For instance, one plugin that I don't know if I published ever, but I did one for doing like a calendar system for games. So you can generate like, okay, this is the date now, like 3 days later, so you can show it in a calendar, kind of like this of time management game, like in games like Persona or stuff like that. And those kind of things, if it's mostly internal, so there's not a lot of things exposed on the editor, but on the code you have them, those are very easy to do. It's adding a few keywords here and there, packaging it, adding some documentation, and that's it. But yeah, the official documentation is good for simple things. And after you don't find anything else, just good luck. You know
Good luck.
what I mean?
Yeah, good that the community is there to help in that case
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
for the other part.
This person, I need to remember. I need to remember. But this the same user. I don't know if I will find it. The same user who did the update to the theme editor in the latest 3.4 version of Godot. Um, he's such a good guy, like helping everyone in that. Like it's great. Like has so much patience for me and for everybody else. To answer all of our plugin questions. So yeah, I will leave a comment for him later as well.
Nice, nice, great stuff. I've mostly wrapped up my questions. If there is anything else you would like to add for the people that are watching us?
No, thank you very much for having me, and for the people who are curious about using Dialogic, like try it out. It's not for everybody, and I'm okay with it. I know a lot of people tell me, "Oh, but I cannot do this, so I won't use it." Kind of like saying, "I'm sorry, I'm not gonna be using Dialogic." Yeah, it's okay, Like I know it's not for everybody, but if it works for you, I'm really happy. And yeah, feel free to join our Discord, which is linked in my Twitter or my YouTube. Like there's a link to the Discord, and over there, there's a lot of nice people who also will be able to help. And I'm also hanging out there. Um, but yeah, thank you very much for having me, and I hope that the game jam for all of you who are participating goes well, and you do not procrastinate too much.
Yeah, yeah, and I've also linked your channel in the chat. So if someone doesn't or is not already subscribed to Emilio, please go ahead and subscribe. Not only for Dialogic, but for other great stuff that is on his channel. And one last question from the audience. Non unknown asks if you do physical exercises. Um,
I guess like a gym kind of thing.
yeah, like
I don't.
running, gym, anything.
No, I wish I did. I wish I could say yes, but I don't.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
Like it would be great to say, yeah, of course
Yeah,
I
I got
run
it.
every day. Like, no,
Yeah, run
I
daily.
tried many times, never works out, especially with the winter and stuff. I don't want to go out, and I don't have anything at home to do. But yeah, no.
Yeah, very nice. Very nice. Okay. Well, that's it for this interview. Thank you a lot for accepting this invitation, and I'll do the outro right now. So yeah, please stand
Okay,
by. Well,
thank you.
I will come back in a second. So I hope you enjoyed this awesome interview. You can find Emilio in the chat and also by writing on Google Emilio Dialogic. This is how you can find him easily. He will continue working on his amazing plugin. And if you would like to contribute, you can join his Discord server and also Patreon if you don't have time to contribute but money instead. With that said, the game jam is still up and running, so if you haven't joined it yet, you should. And that's it for today's episode. I'm Adrian, your host, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.